Thank you for joining us today. My name is Gail Watson, President and CEO of Women Speakers Association, the go-to place for innovative leaders, change agents, and women with a message to connect, collaborate, and grow their visibility worldwide in order to fulfill her mission. And as part of this mission, we are super excited to introduce you to Voices of the 21st Century, a book featuring a collection of female voices rising up to educate, guide, and inspire. And here with us today is our featured author, Allison Summers, a bold, brave, and brilliant woman who shares a very powerful story. I'd like to welcome you to the show, Allison. How are you?
Hi, Gail. I'm happy to be here.
That's awesome. Now, I really love your story because you literally go back in time, the foundation of this story, and you bring it right to modern day world. So, first of all, before we dive into your story, I'd love to know what made you feel like this was the time to be that voice of the 21st century and to share your message in this book.
Well, I absolutely love the women that are part of the Women Speakers Association. And, whether we're sharing our message with audiences as a whole or specifically to women that need to hear people with like-minded messages and what we go through in life. And so I'm thrilled to be affiliated with the organization. And then when the opportunity came up, I thought how wonderful to collaborate and bring all our collective voices together and share the different views that we have of the world. So I appreciate being a part of this opportunity.
Awesome. Well, it's great to have you here. So let's talk a little bit about the story that you share. Give us a taste of it.
Yeah, I feel like I had very humble beginnings. I always say, we didn't have a lot of money when I was a child. I was born in the city of Chicago, and there was nothing fancy. We had powdered milk to drink and maybe meat twice a month. And so I say that my family before me, particularly the women, didn't have a lot of opportunity, but they had a lot of dreams. And so that's what this story is about. It's about a little bit about the influence of my grandmother and her dreams on my life.
Awesome. Well, so tell us more about what her dreams were.
So my grandmother had very big dreams of the world, even though she just lived in this small neighborhood in Chicago. She always dreamed about traveling. And when she was a very young girl, they found King Tut's tomb in Egypt. And so she just voraciously would read and study anything on Egypt. And she started this scrapbook. And it's this big, thick scrapbook with pages, and it's got a black Art Deco cover. And it was a lifetime of love, putting in clippings, newspaper clippings, and then drawing. She'd go to museums and draw, and she would hand stitch just different art pieces she could hang on her wall. And then King Tut, actually, just all of the artifacts came through Chicago. And when she just instilled in me a desire to travel, she would send me postcards and tell me about the world and buy me dolls from around the world. But when she passed away, before she passed away, she gave me this scrapbook because she thought that I would take care of it. And then so fast forward, I did eventually work in international business. And I think a lot of that desire to get the passport and travel was because of those dreams my grandmother instilled in me. And then I had the opportunity to go to Cairo once, and I lovingly packed that scrapbook. And this was after the first fall, and my family thought I had no business going to Egypt. And quite frankly, Gail, I did not. I had no business going to Egypt. But for me, it was such a passion point to take my grandmother's book to Egypt. And I was at a conference. We were actually guests of the Minister of Tourism. And I lovingly, on stage, picked up my grandmother's book and put it on the podium and opened it up and started sharing about her love for Egypt, and it was quite a special moment for me.
Yeah, how did that feel? Because I want to ask that because something you probably don't know is I'm very connected to Egypt as well.
Ah,
I love it. I have art in my walls in my home from Egypt, and it's I've just always loved some. You know, when you just connect.
yeah, well, I'm so blessed, and I didn't get to do like the full tour of Egypt, but I mean, I got to climb inside the Great Pyramids, and we went out to Memphis, um, and just to be there and go, okay, I'm in a hotel and my balcony looks down on the Nile. It's pretty surreal. And I've traveled to over 30 countries, and I love I love travel, and I really do think it's because of my grandmother. And so it was really surreal, but um, it was like a love letter to my grandmother, being on that stage and sharing her book, and thinking about at the same time all the places I'd been and had the opportunities that I worked for that she would have never even dreamed of or been equipped to do. And so it was a very kind of full circle moment, I think, for me.
That's awesome. That's really great. So, in reading of your story in Voices of the 21st Century, what should the reader, or what do you want the reader to take away?
Well, I think, Gail, I wrote it for two reasons, and it was interesting because I had my older daughter proofread it for me the first time. And one, she had never heard that story in that quite that way. And I think so there's two aspects. One, I hope my own daughters understand that the dreams of like my grandmother and the women before me who could only get so far, I hope I pushed it to this level, but I also hope that my daughters behind me push it, like whoa through the ceiling on what their opportunities and what they believe they can do. And I hope the reader of the story just sees something that maybe is different than other things in the book, and to think about the fact that, when my grandmother put those dreams in me and when I went and got that first passport, I didn't always know where the destination was. And that's the way life is, right? You don't know where the destination is, but if you piece by piece start doing things and just have a little faith and believe in yourself, miraculous things can happen along the way.
Absolutely. I love how you honor your grandmother. And I'm always reminded of a sign that a girlfriend gave to me, and it read, "Great women raise great women who raise great
Yeah.
women."
Yeah. Oh, and you know what? I also have a son, so I want to raise a great man too. But I do think that there is something different about, when the women in your life, whether it's your mothers, your grandmothers, your aunts, instill those small things inside your heart. You know it when you get older, and it's so important.
It is. And I want to really thank you for sharing this story in this book because it is important. It is important to, I mean, you have that legacy, right? That just really connects the generations within your families. It's just beautiful.
Yeah, well, and you know what, Gail, my daughter who helped me proofread it, what when she was done proofreading it, what her question was, is where is that book? because because now I think we'll see if she wants to include it in part of her legacy going down as well, because
She
it's
might
a
be in the next one.
yeah.
That's terrific. Okay. So, Allison, just like your daughter asked, um, if I'm listening to you right now and go, you know what, this would be just, I mean, because you really represent, I mean, you've blended these generations together, which I think is beautiful. You have a really powerful message to share. If I was thinking to myself, you know what, this would be a great gift to give a relative of mine, a girlfriend of mine, my daughter or something, I would love a signed copy by you. So where could I go to order this book and have you put in a little personal message?
Well, when it's ready, I'll put it out on my social feeds, of course, and I know you'll have it. But absolutely, people can go to AllisonKSummers.com or send me an email at connect@AllisonKSummers, and the K is just a letter K. But I appreciate the opportunity to share this little story of my life.
Thanks, Allison, and again, thank you very much. So I'd like to, that concludes today's show. And what I would like to do is thank you as a listener for joining in today. And I would invite you and encourage you to come on back and listen to our next episode when we feature another amazing woman share her powerful story. So thanks for joining us today, and we will connect with you very soon.